Really quick, before I get into this video, if you have not seen my History of Steam series trailer, I suggest that you go and take a quick look. It's only about a minute to a minute and a half long, and I did put some effort into making it. I personally think it's kind of cool, and it gives a very broad overview of what I'll be talking about today. If you have seen it, or if you're just not interested, then carry on with this video. So anyways, I wanted to make this video, which I am referring to as a prequel, as a little informational video to basically expand on and explain what the History of Steam trailer was talking about, and to kind of explain what the series actually is. Because I know with the trailer, I put the trailer out there and I mentioned some stuff in the description, but beyond that, the trailer didn't explain much. It was more of an announcement that this series was going to be coming to my channel. So I guess I'll start off with talking about what is the History of Steam. So I want to start by kind of telling how I came up with the idea. So it is an idea that I came up with towards the end of December of 2021. I was sitting around and actually looking up some history of some steam locomotives. And when I'm doing things around the house, I like to watch videos or listen to videos. That way I can multitask, listen to a video while I'm doing something else. And for a lot of steam engines, there was kind of a lack of that available on YouTube. So I came up with the idea to make these history videos at the end of 2021, but I'm only now getting around to fully developing that idea in early March of 2022. So essentially I've chased several steam engines in 2021, 5 to be exact, with many more planned in 2022. When preparing for a steam locomotive chase, I also like to look up videos about the steam engine and what route it takes, and I like to do some research on the locomotive. But like I've mentioned, there aren't really a lot of videos like that on YouTube revolving around the history of the locomotive and the history of the railroad. Or if the videos were on there, they were somewhat limited. So with that, I kind of came up with the idea to make a history video to expand on the steam locomotive's history. So starting with giving some background on the actual railroad itself, the history of the railroad, and then the history of steam for that railroad, kind of narrowing it down from a broad overview of the railroad itself or the company, and then going down to that company's experience with steam locomotives. And then from there, I plan to narrow down into the history of that specific steam locomotive. Then from there, I'm going to narrow it down even further and go into the current disposition of the steam locomotive at the time that I'm making the video. So for example, which I'll get to this in a moment, the first video in the series is going to be the 1225 that chased in Owasso, Michigan. So I'm going to start with talking about the history of the Perry Marquette Railroad, and then move down to the history of steam for that railroad, so what type of steam locomotives they had, things like that. And then I'm going to go even narrower and just talk about the 1225 specifically, its revenue career, how it got preserved, any notable wrecks that the locomotive was involved in, things like that. And then from there, I'm going to talk about the current disposition of the locomotive, so who owns it, what work it has going on with it currently, when it's going to be due for its next 1472 inspection, things like that. And then finally, I'm going to detail some of my personal experience with the steam locomotive. I have a really cool section for this area of the video planned. If I can get the places, either museums or companies that own the steam locomotives currently, to cooperate, I have a really cool idea for part of this section. If I'm able to do it, if you'll know what I'm talking about once the video is made. I don't want to spoil anything. So that's kind of my plan for the structure of the videos. I'm also planning to conduct a series in seasons, which, as you can see from the trailer, this will be season 1, which will contain all the steam engines that I've chased in 2021. So basically, I'm planning on breaking it down by year. So 2021 will be season 1, 2022 will be season 2, so on and so forth. The only exception to this is that I'm going to include the Hocking Valley number 3 into Season 1 since I chased it at the very beginning of January. And I would only have 4 episodes in Season 1 if I didn't include it. I don't want it to just be 4 episodes. I might drop this idea later on, but for now I think that's how I'm going to do it. For engines to qualify for me to make these videos on, I'm only doing steam locomotives that I have personally chased under their own power. So for example, I've seen Norfolk and Western 2156 at the National Transportation Museum. It's a really cool locomotive, but it doesn't run. Another example, I've seen Chesapeake and Ohio 2716 being moved from the Kentucky Railway Museum to Kentucky Steam. It was moving, but it wasn't under its own power. And I also am planning on chasing that the opening weekend when its restoration is finished. So regardless, that one won't be included until I've actually seen it under its own power. I'm planning on releasing these videos one per month. The first one is scheduled to release in April of 2022, which will be the Père Marquette 1225. I have the goal of releasing one video per month, either at the very beginning of the month or at the very end of the month. I haven't decided yet. If I get 1225's video done by the beginning of April, then I'll do it at the first of every month. If not, I'll do it at the end of every month. I'll just have to wait and see how well I progress. Because I do have demands with school that also conflict with my YouTube hobby. So I'm trying to think what else I have here. Let's see. Just in case you've not seen the steam locomotive chases that I've completed so far, here they are on screen and in the planned order of release for now. Obviously, these are subject to change, but this is my plan for now. So the first one, the season premiere, so to speak, will be the Père Marquette 1225. Episode 2 will be the Little River Railroad, number 110 and number 1. I'm grouping these two together because 110 has a relatively detailed history, but just doing some preemptive research on the Little River Railroad number 1, there's not a lot there that I can find. Actually, the information is limited to about a paragraph on the locomotive. That's literally all the information I can find on it. So for that reason, those two will be grouped together. The third will be Southern, number 4501. The fifth will be Hawking Valley, number 3. And then the season finale in August of 2022 will be Union Pacific, 4014. And then I will go from there with the steam engines, start working on histories for the steam engines I've chased in 2022. I guess one last final note as well. I don't know if I will... I guess one last point I'd like to also throw in here before I end the video. I was thinking about it. Actually, a couple of my friends, my Railfanning friends, had asked me about it. If you haven't seen my website, go check it out. I have a list of steam locomotives that I'm going to be chasing in 2022 on there. I'm going to a couple of amusement parks this year, and I'm going to be getting some video and photographs of the little small steam engines they have at amusement parks. I'm not sure if I'm going to include these or not. I believe these are all replicas. I haven't decided on that. If anyone has any input on whether or not those should be included, some people count them as real steam engines, some don't. So if you have any input or any ideas for those, let me know. For example, I'm going to Cedar Point this year and Kings Island, and I'll be getting 2 steam locomotives from both of those places. But if they're replicas, it's kind of difficult to do a history video on them. So if you have any ideas, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see about that when I get to that, but that's multiple months down the road. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end off the video before it gets too long. Thank you for watching. I really am looking forward to this series. I hope it does well. It's something I've been wanting to do for a few months now, but with school, I'm just now getting around to working on it. So hopefully, at the beginning of April, I will have the 1225 video up as a premiere on a weekend. But we'll just see how well that progresses. But thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in my next upload.